Hey, this is Jonas. We're going to do a little charts tonight. Just kind of blast through a bunch of these. We're going to look at small time frames. I'm on the BTC exchange. We're going to look at the 30-minute time frame on a bunch of these alts that have been pretty active over the past couple days. TRX is our first one here, currently up 4.3% in 24 hours. 30-minute chart here. Look at, we had basically this nice kind of continuation through the day here, a little sideways action there. I find interesting this little cluster here of volume where we had kind of this spike here where we thought we were about to break out, gave a lot of that back, but see how it kept this higher low from this point here, which double wick gave the bulls momentum, and that's what pushed a little higher here and brought in this volume bar here. We did sell off here with this wick here, but I like the volume here. Looks like this one is still in play. Kind of zoom out a little bit here, just a great upward momentum movement here, running like a bunch of indicators, but a little overheated, but definitely continuation here. Maybe we'll see a daisy chain and a continuation higher. This one definitely has some resistance areas though, right here, basically right where it's hitting, which it hit here previously. So we might find some resistance there and a pullback. We'll see how it goes. Let's go to Ripple, XRP. And we're going to take a look here at the 30-minute chart. Now, Ripple has just been moving quickly all day today. I mean, just continued momentum price action. But you see what's happened here. What happened here? You see what's happened here as the day changed. What is going on with this computer? There we go. Where we basically had this nice bullish kind of flagging here. Sorry, penning here, breaking out. And then this is what's kind of interesting here. We gave all that breakout back on the 30-minute chart here. And so where are we here? Where have we been finding support? Well, we're back where we've been here basically all day today. So positive sign here is that we have found this base of support here, a lot of volume here, as we can see through the day. See if we can hold that. If we don't, could definitely be coming down and test this next area of support here as well. If we find some support here, we can move higher. We'll see how that plays out. XVG, Verge, this one's been moving pretty quickly over the past several weeks here. Nice solid uptrend basically all through April here. Kind of had this peak out here on a news rumor perhaps, and then kind of a sell the news event where it really took a pretty big dump very quickly here on this candle here. Kind of a little bounce there. That's definitely a dead cat bounce in the short term. Kind of trickled down there and actually had a nice little pop a day or two ago, but it's given most of that back. But if you notice, it is still holding this higher high compared to where we are here, higher low compared to where we had been. So as long as we can hold above this area here, chart is still in play. If we cannot hold this area here, then God, we're looking back here in the 600s here. But for right now, as long as we can put in this higher low from here, and from here, and from here, even with all this price action here, the chart is still up on an upward momentum. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's take a look at ADA, also known as Cardano. This one's been on a really nice tear as well. We can see basically the past several days here, kind of this nice momentum price action here. Lots of areas where we had some nice pushes, gave a lot of that back, but still maintained that higher low here, rode it all the way up here. But look what happened right now. We broke this trend support here. We held from this volume cluster here. So the question is, can we find support here? A lot of this long wicks here was basically your first sell-off. A little similar to this here. This one is a similar example where we kind of went up, gave it all back almost, but kind of kept a little higher high there. We did give up a lot back here, but because we held this point here, the chart was still in play, and that's what pushed us forward. So we could basically come down to, basically 3100 area. I'd love to see it hold this 3,000 kind of, let's hold over 3,000 area here. Yeah, maybe 3,100 area here would be still kind of keeping that upward trend intact. And we'll see how that one goes, but the volume is nice. This one definitely is a nice bullish chart. You can't argue with that. Bitcoin Cash now, obviously, Bitcoin's running. Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold have basically followed suit, such as Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, kind of a no-brainer there, which I had thought of that earlier. But we have this just great bullish momentum basically here over the past day. Real surging basically from the intention that if Bitcoin's running, why can't Bitcoin Cash? Profit taking basically happening right here. Could be trying to put in some sort of a, I don't know, a bull wedge, maybe a pennant of some sort, but kind of still early to tell here. We definitely like to see this area here hold. Keep the chart intact. This went up pretty quickly, so the retracement could be pretty interesting here. The faster you have a move in a very short amount of time, the retrace will tell you a lot about how bullish the intentions are. So we're going to see how this one plays out, but this is basically riding on the piggyback momentum volume that Bitcoin has experienced. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Now this is the BTC to ETH chart. This is not ETH to USD. So basically this is the Bitcoin to Ethereum, exchange rate, if you will. Couple of things here, interestingly, Ethereum, basically was bullish, a little more intensive actually than Bitcoin had been. This drop here basically shows when Bitcoin picked up a little more Momo. Ethereum, clearly peaked out with a nasty candle here on the 30-minute, but who knows what knows. This thing is super bullish still and trying to find support here right now in this wick here. You might see Ethereum move down a little quicker if it's correcting, just because it's had such a bullish rise over the past, couple weeks. It led the way. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on the rate of fall of Ethereum. I think it might translate into how strong Bitcoin could be, or at least the bounce could play out. Do a few more here. Let's do SIA coin, SC. This was interesting. I like to keep an eye on some of the coins that have very low, entry dollar cap. This has a very low Satoshi rate, only 208 Satoshi. That's pennies. So they can move quickly because people think they're very good, like a chance for exponential growth where they can get hundreds of thousands of tokens of something and think like they could just multiply that by a few dollars. But for what kind of valuation it would take to get SIA coin or others in its price range to a dollar would create something like what Ripple went through when it was valued at 145 billion at a $3 valuation. So it kind of shows you that a lot of these things, and even I see it, that I want to put it in something that's under 1,000 or under 500 Satoshi versus something that's at 500,000, or something that's $1 to $2, $3 versus something that's $30, $40, or $50. You can get 10x, 20x gains on a coin or a token that's between $30 and $70 a piece just as easily as you can on one that's sub penny or sub dollar or sub $5. That's something that you've seen play out time and time again. Dash, Monero, Ethereum, Litecoin. I mean, these are ones that basically seemed expensive so many times along their way, and you see how far they were able to get, Bitcoin included. Do a few more here. This is XLM, otherwise known as Stellar Lumens. This is one that's been one of those top 10 market cappers for a while here. Great run over the past few weeks here. Nice continuation here. I actually like this sideways action here. I mean, the longer we can kind of hold sideways, we're building a good base here in the 4,400 range. Nice little volume cluster here, yet the price kind of stayed stable. I kind of like that there. If we're selling here, it's being bought up. If we're bought, it's being sold, but it's maintaining this price point. That's kind of interesting. I see that kind of little bullish sideways action there in the short term. However, you see kind of how fast, how quickly we ran so far. We were basically at a little under 3,000 like 2 weeks ago, and we hit 4,600 there. Nice strong move. There are a lot of coin out there of this, so that's why it's one of those dollar perspective coins, that seems like it's a very affordable price. People will basically say, oh, it's only 39 cents, I'll just invest in that, and that's fine. That basically will allow somebody to hodl for a while if they don't have a large investment in it, but over time this one can definitely move up, and so far the chart looks pretty good. We'll see how that plays out. RDD, this is another example of a coin that's sub 100 Satoshi. There's a lot of red coins out there, that's why it's valued at a penny. um, but even at that valuation, you can still have 30% gains. We were in the 60s, we hit 100, that's 40% there. Holy crap. So you can buy hundreds of thousands or probably millions of red coin and make a nice little profit there if you wanted to do that. Now look where we bounced off there. I think that's the crap, I don't even know what indicator that is there, but we're bouncing off of something there. So we're 86, so we topped off at 104. So listen, we are correcting here. We'll see. Listen, right here has been a resistance area in the 94 range. If we can kind of hold in this area, bounce around for a while, the longer we can stay here, maybe we can push back over 100. It'd be nice to see this uptrend here continue. Right here, we kind of held this nice kind of momentum here. So as long as this keeps moving forward, there's no reason why this upward trend continues. There is history though of these quick spikes that seem to peter out, but if you kind of thought about this a little bit long term, you can kind of see maybe it's one of those things you put a little bit into and hold for a while. Definitely flippable, but you see how kind of crazy the volatility is there because there's just so much coin out there. PRO, I'm not too familiar with this one here, but it seems to have a pretty nasty day here. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is just really interesting here. I'm on the Bittrex exchange, and this is an example of a coin that's very new. It looks like it just came on like 2 days ago. So it's very risky to buy a coin that just debuts on a certain exchange sometimes. Other times, though, it actually can help pump the coin when a new coin is introduced, especially in a lot of the big Asian and Indian markets where we've seen a new coin kind of pumps it across all the marketplaces. But when it's kind of a small ICO event, and people basically are able to basically trade it on a market for the first time, you see a lot of early investors basically want to dump the coin and just take their initial profits, or at least get some of their money back. So until we get a little more market data on this one here, kind of see how it plays out. Do two more here. OMG. This is let's see here. I mean, great movement over the past several days here. Had a just incredible spike here on the 412. Ran up some more there, definitely correcting a little bit here. This is continued bullish momentum here. As long as we can kind of maintain these little higher lows here, we might see something where we want to hold this area here in that 164,000 range. I'll just briefly talk about Bitcoin, kind of see where we are at here. Bitcoin. Actually, let's do one more here. Oh yeah, let's do the Litecoin ratio. And this is interesting here too, because you want to see if there's going to be at some point, people talk about this, a divergence, basically where Litecoin begins to accelerate at a faster price valuation than Bitcoin does over time. Bitcoin has led the way a lot with Litecoin. I remember when Bitcoin ran in December and kind of topped off at around 19,000. Litecoin was just kind of sitting there watching, and then as soon as that top off happened, tons of money flew into Litecoin, and we saw it run to over $400 here. So kind of keep watching this divergence here to see how Litecoin basically keeps responding to Bitcoin, and if we can see some sort of momentum change where it can accelerate quicker. You see right now here it's roughly 1.7% of a price of Bitcoin here. It's been as low recently, I remember, as 0.05%, 0.5%, yeah, of a price of Bitcoin. And when it peaked out, when it went to $270 or $250 so, and Bitcoin was still kind of hanging around. It basically rose to a point of almost 2.5%. So this is kind of a trend I like to keep an eye on. It's definitely in an uptrend, so it seems like at some point Litecoin will have another big pump quicker than the price gains of Bitcoin. So we'll keep an eye on that. In the meantime, trade safe. There's a lot of alts out there. Some have been running for several days. Some of them need to correct, come back to earth a little bit, kind of test to see where they are. A lot of profit taking will probably be had as well as the price of Bitcoin will affect all these. Stay safe. I'll talk to you guys soon.